Welcome to the Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. Playwright August Wilson is often referred to as theater's poet of Black America. He's known for his series of 10 plays called The Century Cycle, in which each play takes place in a decade during the 20th century. Over the last few years, the Detroit Repertory Theater has been producing Wilson's plays in chronological order. Now, through March 15th, the group is performing The Piano Lesson, which exists in the 1930s. In this story, family ties are tested when a pair of siblings disagree on what to do with the piano that holds significant value to their family. Pharoah Muhammad, who plays Winning Boy, Delanti Hall, who plays Boy Willie, and Detroit Rep Theater's executive artistic director Leah Smith spoke with the Metro's Carey Jr. II. They discussed the play's main themes and their artistic approach to the work itself.
So, Delanti, I'm going to start with you. What does it mean to you to be in this August Wilson production?
For me, it is a true full circle moment. Grew up here, moved to Kalamazoo for school to go to Western. And over there, I worked on Piano Lesson in 2022, 2023, I believe. And this is my first show back home since high school. So to be doing that, to be doing Piano Lesson, playing the same character again, it is truly a full circle moment.
Pharoah, what about you?
Well, I think that the beautiful articulation of what we know as August Wilson's work needs to be presented to this generation and the next generation, because this is the Shakespeare of our time, right? And the wonderment of the play, The Piano Lesson, it gives the audience member a true treat, because you get to see the seriousness of the mind of August Wilson, right, and how the main character is navigating through his life and trying to attain something that's deeper than what it actually is, right? But you also get to see the comical side of August Wilson. I think oftentimes when these plays are produced, they're produced so heavy on the seriousness, and there's a lot of levity that is in the writing, and we're able to extract that. And Mr. Wilson was brilliant in putting these little Easter eggs in the script so that we can interpret them in a way to bring levity and humor to the theme, right? And you don't find a lot of playwrights that have that kind of presence of mind. So for me, to be able to do this, not only was a dream come true, it is absolutely imperative as a Black actor that we tell these stories, because they are intrinsically ours. These stories are about our sojourn here in this country, from the Great Migration to the North, and what that meant to us as a people and what it still means. So and to have the Detroit Rep take the lead in ensuring that there is a place for this to be seen and heard and experienced, I can't say enough about that.
So as far as your specific production of this play, are you all keeping it as originally written? Are there some wrinkles here and there? Leah?
Our live theater's mantra, policy is, first of all, you say the words that are on the page.
No improv.
August Wilson is a brilliant man. You're not more brilliant than him. So you say what's on the page.
Sure.
That being said, live theater is live.
Sure.
Things happen. It's a relationship between the performers on the stage and the audience on the other side of the stage. And every performance is different because of that.
Delanti, how did you approach it?
I think our wonderful director, Janae, really pushed us to stay in the period. Stay in the period. Make sure you're researching the period. Make sure you're looking at everything period-wise. And as Leah said, stay true to the script. The script has everything that you need, all of the coloring, all of the ebbs and flows. Stay true to the script. It'll guide you. It'll guide you through it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I would teach in workshops and in my acting classes is that if you just tell the truth, you really never have to act. Just tell the truth, and the truth is right there in your hands with the script. Now, we can interpret the script in different ways, but ultimately, these are relationships. And if you know how you relate to your mom, how you relate to your dad, how you relate to your significant other, right? Those are real relationships, and truth happens in those relationships. So how I speak to you as my nephew, right, in the play, I'm talking specifically with Delanti, as I speak to him as my nephew, is no different than how I would speak to my actual nephew, but I'm doing it in a way that is based on the needs of the character that I'm portraying. That is a real relationship. It's not fiction. We call it fiction because, but if the human mind can conceive a reality, it can't be fiction because it either happens somewhere or it's going to happen somewhere. Now, there may not have been a whining boy and a Boy Willie somewhere, but somewhere there was a whining boy and a Boy Willie.
Absolutely.
Right? So staying true to that reality is what will give the audience that relatability. Like, yeah, you know what? I have an uncle just like that. Or I have a cousin that's just like that, right? Because they're real truths that we're telling.
You're listening to The Metro on 101.9 at WDET. I'm Kerry Jr. II, and we are discussing the Detroit Repertory Theater's production of The Piano Lesson. I'm joined by the theater's director, Leah Smith, and Pharoah Muhammad, and Delanti Hall, who are both cast members of the production. You can catch the show right now through March 15th. So, to that point, treating the characters in the story as if they're people you know in real life. Walk me through what it's like to embody these characters. Is there a process that you go through to really transform?
I think there's absolutely a process to it, for sure. I think first I start off with read the script a couple times. After that, I began character analysis. So who am I? What period am I in? What am I going through? What is my relationship with these characters? What am I fighting for? What is my deepest need? What is my deepest want? What happens if I don't get it? I listen to a lot of music in the period. I've listened to a lot of Skip James, a lot of Blind Willie Johnson, a lot of just Charlie Patton, a lot of different names that has also shaped my mind to be in the period. I try to research as much I try to research as much as possible about Pittsburgh and Mississippi and the differences and how people thought back then, the challenges that they had to go through. What were they doing for work? What were their deepest passions at that time?
Because you're really trying to figure out, like, what are my emotions? What are their emotions, and how do I embody them and put myself in that experience? Yeah.
Absolutely. I figure out what is the base throughout that period, and then my immediate thought after that is, how does my character sit in that? How does my character live in that? What does all of this mean to my character? And I take it from there. After that, you really approach one rehearsal at a time. I think the biggest thing for me during this process was having to color it, not giving everything away in that first scene, in that second scene, in that first act. Really layering things out and giving the audience the chance to see my point of view, to understand my point of view, and to not just be struck by me and what I'm doing.
That's interesting because, like, when you meet someone for the first time, you don't know everything about them when you first meet them. Right. It's a gradual process. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I think to piggyback on what Delanti is saying, one of the main things that we have to make sure that we first never do is judge the character, right? I wouldn't do that. That's not it, because I say this kind of comically, but there's some seriousness to it when I say it. No. It's a line from the movie Temptations. Ain't nobody coming to see you, right? They're coming to see Boy Willie, right? You are telling Boy Willie's story because Boy Willie is not here, right? I don't have to come to the theater to see you, right? We can hang out, we can get some dinner or something, but I'm coming to see your interpretation. And so by not judging the character, right, and not putting our own preconceived notions on, how I would do versus the character, I think it allows you to open up and put yourself into suspended animation so that the character can live in your body, right? Case in point, we talking about the character analysis. When you look at where the character is from, some of the other things that you have to consider: are they educated? Did they go to school? Did they not? What region of the country are they from? Because there's a different type of dialect that may be from that era, different type of thinking, whether they're north or south or east or west, right? Were they from the Bible Belt? All of those things have to be taken into consideration when you're building and constructing your character, and none of it should you ever say, I don't like that. Because if that's your position, then this ain't what you need to do, right? As an actor, we tell stories. We share to the world the social milieu of the time through our truths, right? And so allowing Pharoah to rest so that Whining Boy can tell his story through my physicality is a process, but it's a I don't want to call it a metamorphosis. It's just a merging of the minds, right? Two minds coming together, and I'm allowing this one to be mine for these 10 weeks. Right, and then I go back to being Pharoah.
Is there a moment, Pharoah, when you're like, okay, now I know I've got it. I know now when I've switched the brains and I have the character embodied, or I mean, by now I imagine it may be automatic, but like, what is that moment like when you like, okay, I've got this character down?
I think that's a very interesting question, because there are times when, for me, I'm always searching for a different way to tell this story with that character, not to make it so foreign where it doesn't look like the same character or the same show, but if you have several different ways of saying a word, right, it shows a range. Maybe to answer your point, I think that's when I feel I got it, because I'm still looking for it. I'm still, okay, yeah, I think let me add this here. Let me do that. Yeah, because now I'm in it. I'm committed to it. I'm there. And my hope is that the audience can appreciate, right, the expression. Like, it makes sense to them.
There's like a moment when you've mastered it to where you can play with it.
Yeah, I think it's in the mastering of it, or the attempt to master it, because it's a journey, right?
Yeah,
and it's never a sprint. And I think through the process of constantly trying to find a different way of saying what it is you're saying, I think that's the mastering. That's the handling, because you're cooking it, and the longer you let that pot, and I'm sure you know this, right? The longer you let that pot settle, right, the flavors. Next day after you make that chili, the chili is good the first day, but that second, third day. Oh, it's just it's
a whole other thing,
and that's what's happening with this production. Yeah. How we started on opening night was good, but this baby is cooking.
That's fair,
right? Because everyone is committed to telling this story in a way that is unlike how it's been told before.
Delanti, do you have thoughts about that moment?
Absolutely. I cannot agree more with what Pharoah said. I think for me, there is a feeling where we go, okay, bet, we're here. It's time now. We've reached a point where we are telling the story with honesty and with truth, and now it's time to build on that. What more can I collect? What more can I grab? And I think, like Pharoah said, it is a part of the process. You during the rehearsal process, you have so much room to throw things to the wall, see if it sticks. Just throw things to the wall. Nothing has to be right. There is no right or wrong. There is only honesty and truth. So I think throwing those things to the wall, seeing what works, ooh, that feels nice. Oh, this did this to my scene partner. Okay, I'm keeping that in mind. So that way I can move in that direction. Every little thing.
That's right.
Every little thing that you do in rehearsal helps. Even if everything you do doesn't work. That is also a message. Okay, let's go in a different direction. Let's see what else works. So in terms of the mastering, it's always a process. And it may not ever feel mastered because, like Pharoah said, we're always cooking it. Our director tells us all the time, or told us all the time, that this show is supposed to grow up, not out. Grow it up, not out. So
grow up, not out.
Mm-hmm.
What would I guess I need further explanation. Elaborate that
out
one for
would
me.
be out would be
Bigger, showing,
bigger, showing.
Okay.
instead of being.
Yes, you not being connected with your partner,
Okay.
you not being connected with the moment, you trying to over exude for the audience, things of that sort.
For example, you might discover that something is funny to the audience that you had never perceived or thought about as a comic line before. And opening night, you get a laugh for it. The next day, growing out would be, I'm going to play for the laugh.
Right.
Instead of just staying honest.
I see.
Yeah.
Coming up, how the cast would handle the dilemmas at the center of the piano lesson. You all stay right there. We'll be right back. This is The Metro. On WDET, I'm Tia Graham. The Detroit Repertory Theater has been producing August Wilson's plays in chronological order over the last few years. Now, through March 15th, they are performing the piano lesson, which takes place in the 1930s. In this story, family ties are tested when a pair of siblings disagree on what to do with a piano that holds significant value to their family. Carrie Jr. II spoke with cast members T. Pharoah Muhammad and Delanti Hall, along with the theater's executive artistic director, Leah Smith. Let's get back to the conversation.
Okay, I want to talk now about the theme, or the lesson, I should say, of the play itself. The piano lesson is about a drama that centers a piano that is sacred to the family, the main family of the story. Boy Willie and Bernice are siblings, and they are at odds on what to do with this instrument. Boy Willie wants to sell it and buy land with the money, and Bernice doesn't want to sell it because this piano holds memories of their ancestors. There are carvings of their ancestors in the pianos. So my question for you all is, have y'all dealt with kind of a sibling or family beef where you were at odds with someone about something that you both equally cared about? And if not, how would you handle a situation like that? Let's start with Pharoah.
Well, fortunately for me, I haven't had any sibling
No sibling
conflicts
rivalries?
like that. No, because I'm the oldest, and they do what I say.
Okay.
So there's
That's
that.
fair. You run it.
Yeah, but no, but I have witnessed conflicts, especially once a matriarch or patriarch of the family is no longer with us, how that part of the family moves forward. And a lot of times there's a disagreement on how that's supposed to look. I've seen people who have businesses who inherited businesses from their parents, and the brother and sister couldn't seem to stay on the same page, and then the business is gone. And so unfortunately, these types of things happen, not just in our community, but, outside of our community, it happens. But I think the beautiful thing about this story is you see the rivalry, and both characters, Bernice and Boy Willie, are very, very set on their position regarding this piano. And they both have legitimate reasons.
Right.
There is no one has a better idea than the other. They both are equally legitimate.
Yeah.
And what I think is such a beautiful resolution is that at the end, well, I don't want to spoil the end for those who haven't seen it, but there's an opportunity for redemption between the two.
Right.
Because oftentimes these fractures leave the families fractured, and you don't see them again until someone else has passed away, right? And we always say, we got to stop meeting like this. We got to stop getting together only at funerals, right? And so here's an opportunity in this play where the brother and sister have a redemptive moment. And that's the hope of this piece for me, as a fan of the work. That's the hope for me, is that, even though there's not a part 2 to it, that is somewhere in the universe, Bernice and Boy Willie can be brother and sister again. And I think that moment gives that door, that opening.
Delanti?
I also haven't had that sibling rivalry necessarily, but I've had the tug and pull with, okay, you don't see things how I see things. You're not connected to this thing like I'm connected to this thing. So now I have to show you how I feel about this. And however way we go about this is how we go about it. But this is how this is my stand on it, and I'm following it all the way through.
But what if the person is as connected as you are? What if they do have as much conviction as you do? I mean, that's something that is a difficult. I mean, to some degree, I feel like this maps on to a lot of things outside of family too.
Absolutely.
When you're dealing with people who you deeply care about, who feel just as convicted as you do about something, and you're like, wait a minute, how do we level this out? And I'm just, just thinking about that. Like, what is that? There's like a sense of almost fear, I feel like, for me personally, like, oh, wait a minute, will this be the thing that could be the end?
Especially when you learn all of the given circumstances watching the play. The differences that Boy Willie and Bernice already had prior to the piano. And seeing that piano only be a boiling point for those differences that was already there.
One of the most beautiful things about the character Boy Willie is Boy Willie ultimately wants to be Man Willie, right? And he is searching for that opportunity that becomes the line of demarcation from where he is no longer considered a boy Willie. He is a man Willie. And knowing how black men in particular were treated in the South, you were never considered a man. You were boy up until you became an elder, then you were called an uncle, right? Never a man. And so here's an opportunity for him to have something that is solely his, that belongs to him and him alone, and that's his manhood. And you can't take that from me. You can't impede on. There's a line in there that says, I don't know why you want to get in my way. Right. And yeah, it really is a beautiful piece.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
The fact that we can sit here and talk about these themes, and personally, sometimes the simple kind of narratives can tell some really deep stories. Like, I think we get caught up, especially in a lot of TV today and a lot of the media we see. You've got to have the biggest drama. It's got to be they've got to have all the substances in the world. There's got to be infidelity just to make it engaging for you. But there's sometimes really, really intimate, simple moments that have such depth to them.
Absolutely.
And this play is a testament to that.
For sure.
You're listening to The Metro on 101.9 WDET. I'm Kerry Jr. II. I'm talking with Detroit Repertory Theater director Leah Smith and actors and cast members T. Pharoah Muhammad and Delanti Hall. They are putting on The Piano Lesson by August Wilson. You can catch it right now at the Repertory Theater through March 15th. One element I'm interested to talk about before we wrap up here is the material things. This piano means more than just being a piano. I'm curious what you all think about materials and when they become more than just an item. The context of that is oftentimes we think, when life is over, we leave all the material things behind. They don't matter that much. But that's not necessarily always true. There are some things that do mean a lot more. Curious what you all think that moment is when you were like, okay, this is something that, yes, it's an item, but there's so much more to this item for me.
I think it's those things that tell a story. Those things that tell a story about that tell a story about a memory you went through, or that tell a story about your family, like the piano. I think that's when those things can become sacred. That's when those things can become, okay, I will keep this. If I keep nothing else in my life, I will keep this, and I will pass this down to my son, to my grandson, et cetera, et cetera. That's when I think a materialistic thing that we sometimes would bat an eye for becomes much more than that, when it tells a story about you or someone or something that you love.
Yeah, it's interesting because as he's talking, and you make that point, it reminds me of two things specifically that I attached myself to when I was growing up. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. Now, he came from the South. He worked at Uniroyal Tire, but he opened a restaurant. He had a fleet of ice cream bicycles, and he also had an ice cream truck. Aside from that, he had a plumbing business that he would just, he had a lot of things, I guess you can call them multiple streams of income, right? But I, as a child, would sit up in the ice cream truck, and I would pretend like I was driving down the street like he used to, right? And I'd ring the little bell and everything, and I thought one day that would be mine because it meant something to me because my mother worked on that ice cream truck with him. My mother made the cotton candy that they sold, right? Her brother, my Uncle Gus, he was the one in charge of the bicycles. And as my mom went on and started her life in the direction she was going, and my uncle, he's passed on, but they were living their lives. My grandfather said, "I don't need this stuff anymore," so he sold it. But he also sold a potential legacy that his grandchildren could have built on top of. The house that we all gathered in, I drive by it. I'm like, man, I should have been more in the presence of mind of trying to purchase this house because this is where we all gathered. And now it's almost dilapidated. And the memories that house has produced, I helped him put that wire in that floodlight that I still see hanging on the side. I was there, right? And those things, I think we really should refocus our attention to because those things are what made us who we are, right? Where we brought the brand new babies to these homes, right, for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, and yeah, so it's more than the house. It's what happened in the house, and how it affected all of us, and the beauty and the love and the fun and the laughs that we all had there, and for it to just be no longer a part of the family, it can be a little unsettling, and I think that is what Bernice would have a problem with. That thing with all of the people on the piano that means something to her just gone now. Mm-hmm. Like, what do we have that holds us together if that's gone, right? So, yeah.
Leah, what are your thoughts about material things and the significance they carry as it pertains to this story?
What Delanti said about, does it tell a story? Is that story important in this play? It is. It's both. It's three things. It's a metaphor. It's literal, and it's also about the history of this country. Mm-hmm. It's 70 years post-slavery, and the carvings on this piano are beautiful art that tells a story of this particular family, but it's not just this family; it's this country, right? And it gets me verklempt right now thinking about. I think that piano is, if it were real, want it to. It's not going to be cut in half, but it is just a piano. It's the stories. It is the stories that we need to be talking about the past, and we need to be blunt about it.
I think with those materialistic things, sometimes depending on what situation you're in, you lose sight of it. Which is why, like Pharoah said, when push comes to shove, you sell that ice cream truck, you sell that house, you do whatever because you're trying to make ends meet the ends meet right now. But you could lose sight of that history that you built with this thing. I think speaking personally about my life, I think that I wish that we thought about those material things a little more. Sometimes we drive past an old house that we went to, or an old house my grandparents lived in, and all these memories flood, and it just made me think, like, I wish we would have kept this. Why didn't we think that this was important? Why didn't I think this was important at the time? Like, just things like that. So I think those perspective shifts really drives you to do different things. which you see in the piano lesson with Boy Willie and Bernice.
Absolutely. And if I may, there's an African edict that says in order to touch immortality, one must be remembered 7 generations. I think it may be from the Yoruba, if I'm not mistaken. The question then becomes, how does one be remembered for 7 generations, right? And that piano carved by the grandfather of Boy Willie, right? Being remembered.
For me.
Right, absolutely. Being remembered for 7 generations. This was your great, 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 great grandfather. He's in conversation. He never dies. We touch immortality by what we do and what we leave and what we present to the world, right? Even if that world is just our family members are going to continue to talk about, what we've done. Henry Ford physically may no longer be here, but he's definitely not gone, right?
Yeah.
Because someone pulled up in one of his vehicles today, right? So that whole idea of holding and cherishing something that holds the family together, I think, in defense of Bernice, is something that we have, to some extent, abandoned, because I think a lot of times we associate the pain of what those things may represent. We don't want anything to do with it. We don't want the land that's down in Mississippi, because what happened down in Mississippi, we, just sell it and get over with. But that land, Boy Willie, is what gives us our independence, and we can write a new narrative with that very land.
Pharoah Muhammad plays Winning Boy. Delanti Hall, who plays Boy Willie, and Detroit Rep Theater's executive artistic director Leah Smith spoke with the Metro's Carey Jr. II. Additional cast members include Nathan Alfred Tate, Will Bryson, Shemaine Jones, Jocelyn Sierra Letts, Isaiah Spencer, and Jaquise Steele. The director of the production is Janae LaShawn. Their production of the piano lesson is running right now through March 15th, and you can find tickets to the show by going to DetroitRepTheater.com. That's Detroit, REP Theater.com. As well, just a quick weather reminder heard in our daily podcast, Detroit Evening Report. Detroiters are bracing for another round of dangerously cold weather. Temperatures late this week are forecast to drop below 0 with extreme wind chills. A cold front will pass through the state, dropping high temperatures into the single digits tomorrow and Saturday. Tomorrow night's low will be -10. Wind chills could reach nearly -30. Wayne State has converted its operations to virtual for tomorrow and Saturday. Just a few quick tips. Throughout the cold spell, Detroit's recreation centers and libraries will serve as places you can go to get warm. And with the extreme weather, cold weather expected this weekend, keep your gas tank at least at half full and make sure your tires are properly inflated and you have windshield wiper fluid. Also, try to have your battery checked and driving emergency kits available as you're driving. This is The Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. The Metro is produced by Sam Corey, Carey Jr. II, Jack Philbrant, Robin Vincent, and me, Tia Graham. Our engineer is Nate Bender. Music done by Sam Bobian, and our senior producer is David Lyons. The Metro is a production of WDET, a listener-supported service of Wayne State University. This is WDET FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. You all have a great day. Try to stay warm.